Speaking of ECOWAS' latest sanctions on Mali, the UN says its peacekeeping mission in the country has temporarily suspended flights. A move is expected to hamper delivery of aid to the country as neighboring countries comply with ECOWAS' directive to close land and air borders to Mali amidst other restrictions. MINUSMA flights were abruptly grounded on Sunday night in what an email staff said was a temporary suspension. The email says staff will be informed as soon as the mission receives clearance from the government authorities to resume flights. After France backed the ECOWAS sanctions, national carrier Air France also suspended service to Mali. MINUSMA normally operates flights within Mali in between Bamako and Mali's central and northern cities, where there are several MINUSMA bases. Let's discuss with Better Minds now. Joining me now is Executive Director, West African Network for Peace Building, Mr. Chukwuemeka Eze. He joins me from Accra, Ghana. Chukwuemeka, thank you for joining me on the program and great to see you in 2022. That move by the UN, it could further hurt regional security, wouldn't it?
Well, I think it may to a very large extent, and that is our concerns. With what has happened, what it means is that the French will withdraw its troops from Mali, and this could jeopardize a collective commitment to fighting terrorism and violent extremism, and even limit external security assistance, which is key to enhancing the combat and effectiveness of the defense and security forces of Mali. So it's a huge concern, not just for Mali, but also for the Sahel region and the entire West Africa region.
And do your concerns also extend to how ECOWAS' recent sanctions could backfire on regional security despite Mali being ruled by military leaders?
Well, there are a bit of positives and negatives, given the already deep complexities of humanitarian challenges facing Mali. The ECOWAS sanction could potentially aggravate the humanitarian crisis in the country and the Sahel as well, especially in the areas of food security, issues around health, even with the COVID pandemic issues, the economic issues, given the fact that ECOWAS is cutting off every tie, including closing borders. Also issues around humanitarian assistance that is needed to even assuage the sufferings of the displaced population. So all this will go in the negative and could even further compound the already very difficult situation in the country. And the sanction could also have security implications for the entire region, given that Mali is the epicenter of the crisis in the Sahel and a strategic transit point for armed groups operating in the North Africa and the Sahel region of West Africa.
Yeah, and those are legitimate concerns and legitimate issues. And I remember that the military leader, Assimi Goïta, did point this out, when the ECOWAS announced the sanctions, saying, ECOWAS needs to consider, some of the issues of health crisis, especially the COVID-19 pandemic, and of course, security. But the interim government wants to stay on for 5 years, so they said they want to stabilize the country. But which is most unsettling at this point? The possibility that the military have no intentions of handing over power, or that Malians who had initially cheered on the takeover in 2020 are realizing much later, eventually their freedoms could be taken away from them, as we've seen with most military governments.
I visited Mali in December, and I had extensive discussion with the first vice president of the transition government. And part of the issues that he raised, I wouldn't say they are illegitimate, but ECOWAS has its own protocols and it has its own normative frameworks that guides its operations. So the issue then is, will ECOWAS continue to listen to those excuses, no matter how tangible they could appear, or should they also now be more firm on its extant protocols? So the sanction, for me, shows ECOWAS' commitment to protecting the hard-earned democratic progress that we have made in the region over the past 3 decades against resurgence of military coup in the political landscape. More importantly, it also provides an avenue for ECOWAS to reflect and also rethink its conflict management strategies, including the overdue protocol review of the protocol on democracy and good governance to expressly include issues around term limits, issues around now reinforced issues around unconstitutional changes or takeover of government. But again, I appreciate the fact that the sanction could prolong the transition process due to the disruption in the mediation processes and potential impacts of the sanction in general. More importantly, is the sanction is also occurring within the context of heightened anti-French sentiments in the country, causing nationalistic sentiments against ECOWAS by painting the regional body as an outsider oppressor that is being used by external powers. So all this, if you put it within the context, then you understand and appreciate more the complexities of the issues we find ourselves in.
Yeah, indeed. And when you watch those videos of people, storming the streets and cheering on the military during the takeover, they're quite disturbing. If you have watched, other countries also delve into a serious political crisis because of military governance. You're working behind the scenes, we understand. What else is WANEP doing, to ensure that what's going on in Mali does not develop into a full-blown crisis?
Well, we are as a civil society official partner to ECOWAS on issues around peace and security. We are working with ECOWAS to provide our own support with regards to the transition processes and also mediation. We are also working with the women and youth of Mali to ensure that they participate fully in the transition processes and also to ensure that those women who are eager to contribute to national development are not left out in the transition process. But more importantly, to have what we may consider to be a way forward, even within the complex situation that both ECOWAS and the transition government in Mali finds itself. It is not enough to continue to say that the reason why you're not going through election is because the insurgents are approaching Bamako. I think what is important is to have a clear roadmap that will convince both ECOWAS and the international community that indeed the military junta is ready to relinquish power through democratic elections.
Indeed, and we have to watch, just as ECOWAS is watching and everyone else is watching, what's going on in Mali. Chukwuemeka, thank you again for joining me on the program.
My pleasure always. Thank you.